Scott, Dean, Robert, and Eric all here from the band, the entire band, the original band. Which leads me to a question. There was never any other lineup, was there, once Stone Temple Pilots became STP, or was there?
I'm actually dead, and I'm a replacement. So,
You replaced yourself?
Yeah.
No one can replace you.
I'm a double. I'm a Robert double.
And STP, to those of us who are car enthusiasts, mean one thing, but to you guys, I imagine this has been asked 200,000 times, but I never got an answer to it. Did you want to be STP, or Stone Temple Pilots is completely independent of the initials STP?
Initially it was Shirley Temple's Pussy.
Is that true?
No, it was true for
a minute.
A minute. But I had this like shrine in the TV room of the house that Dean and I and our friend Rich lived in, and I had a can of STP oil treatment, and we labored over names of the band for so long, and that image just kept on popping up, and
we were talking about the coolest sticker to have on your skateboard when you were a kid, or on your banana bicycle seat,
Sure.
But you have to think, we got signed as Mighty Joe Young, and we actually made our first record as Mighty Joe Young, and right when we were checking out the artwork and approving that, our management called us up and said, you have to change the name. So that delayed the record, actually.
Because of the movie, or because
there was a blues cat out of Chicago making records before any of us were born.
Old blues guy in Chicago.
Oh, really?
Named Mighty Joe Young. So they're like, okay, the artwork looks great,
right,
but you have to change the name now.
So now you get back to the can.
Because it's that easy to change the name.
Sure.
As your record's coming out, it's that easy, right?
Yeah. No, who was I with? Was it you and I, Scott? We were in our artist loft looking at the core album artwork, approving it, looking at all Mighty Joe Young, and right then and there,
we're still in Highland Park.
No, we were at Kevin Hossman's house looking at the artwork, and our lawyer at the time called and gave me the phone and said, we have a problem. I'm like, yeah, what's that? You need to change the name of the band. And our record was due to be out in about 40 some days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're approving artwork. We're like, uh-oh.
So you went with Mighty Joe Old. To Mighty Joe Young.
We drank a lot of beer and smoked a lot of weed for
Mighty Joseph Young.
Mm-hmm.
A while.
You could have pulled it better than Ezra.
I'm going to relinquish a little something about Scott Weiland that people may not know about. We live together, and Scott's a fine cook.
Oh, really?
Yes, he is.
Well, Scott was telling me before the interview that he had a flair for interior decorating.
Mm-hmm.
And,
did he say flair or pizzazz?
He said pizzazz, I think.
Charisma.
He said a certain je ne sais quoi.
Yes.
But he also knows his way around a skillet as well. So there's a feminine side to Scott Weiland that we've not seen before.
He's just maybe
I won't
like
show it to you.
So Scott did a lot of cooking when you guys were shacked up, huh?
Yeah, I like to cook. It's something I learned from my mother, and she's one of the biggest influences in my life.
And the new album, then, we'll jump ahead a little bit here. You guys make the phone call, get back together, decide to go back in the studio, and did it flow? Did you have a bunch?
We actually toured for about a year plus. Playing all the greatest hit set, and I think all of us got a little tired of that, and the worst thing about the point you never want to get to is when you feel like you're punching the time clock and going on stage and then punching back out.
Right.
And the only way to avoid it is to write a new record, and that's what we did.
And when you got into that process, did you sort of pick up where you left off, or did you find like, hey, we're all different, we're older, It's not the same process.
Well, every process was different. From Rumbo, the first album, to going to Atlanta, on the second album, to living in Jimmy Stewart's old mansion on the third album. Fourth album, fifth album, living in another glorious home, turned into a studio. And
can I ask this about that process? Because I've seen enough inside the music shows and stuff where the band gets together and they rent out a castle and then everyone just drinks and does drugs for 6 months. Does that process, it leads to some pretty good work, but I feel like if you guys just went somewhere and went to a studio, knocked it out, and then went back to the castle, it'd be a better process.
I don't know. Exile on Main Street.
Not heard of that album. So I don't have it. No,
Might be an argument.
The product is amazing.
Well, during those sessions, we were working with Brendan O'Brien, and he had a real good air about him, about keeping us roped in, and what was nice about working in those surroundings, you had a lot there. You had a tennis court, a pool. There was a lot there to offer. So when let's say if Scott was singing, we would be out on the tennis court.
Or if I was in the closet shooting dope, they'd be on the tennis court.
Yeah, drinking. But there was a tennis court to drink on. That's the point.
Pitchers of margarita. We're inventing new games. Remember the one game? Run, bitch?
Yeah, Run, Bitch, Run. Yeah, I remember that.
How'd that work?
But what was interesting about the last record, the difference there was we had always set out to make a record and saw it through from beginning to end with no interruptions. Mm-hmm. Like Scott said earlier, we were on the road while making this whole record. We'd be on the road, do about a month worth of gigs and come home and record for a few weeks and go back on the road, and that went over the course of about 8 months. Mm-hmm. And that was something very different for us because, as Scott said earlier, we would have our record recorded, mixed, and mastered in 3 to 4 weeks.
Right.
And this one went on for about 8 months because we were on the road, but it really lent itself to some pretty snappy performances.
Well, should we hear another snappy performance from the new album? Stone Temple Pilots' new album. This one, I believe, is called First Kiss on Mars.
Snappy.